back to Dream's World. This is Dream, your host, and today I want to be going through a list of my favorite animes. And not by any necessary does this mean that 1 is my favorite one and 5 is my least. This is a random list of just my favorite animes that I just really love. So without further ado, here we go. My first anime would have to be Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z to me has been an anime that has tested the times and has definitely had for many generations. Like my dad knows about Dragon Ball Z. My nieces and nephews knows about Dragon Ball Z. You know, like, they love it. My dad watches it. I know a lot of people definitely engage in Dragon Ball Z content. So it's like, it definitely been out for like more than 20 years. And definitely have to see a whole lot of other animations like Sailor Moon, like Yu Yu Hakusho. And the good thing about Deadman Wonderland is that they're constantly, it's like a threat that they have to fight. They're constantly someone who they have to engage in. Even if the main character isn't there, they are still allowing other characters within Dragon Ball Z to necessarily thrive and necessarily grow. Like one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball Z would have to be Vegeta. I love Vegeta. I think Vegeta arroganceness is very, very prominent to his character. I love the fact that on a whole nother note that Vegeta is really, really thick. I know he's only a cartoon, but we can all agree that Vegeta is one of the most thickest characters in Dragon Ball Z. In any picture you see of him, Vegeta is just really, really thick. That is thick. Vegeta is thick as all outdoors. I love him. One of my favorite scenes in Dragon Ball Z is when Vegeta really thought that he was going to beat up Boo. And I'm like, well, I mean, he turned evil in order to beat up Goku, but then he turned back around so he could beat up Boo, who was this this being that been there since the beginning of time. He wasn't going to do nothing against Boo at that time. So it's he goes to this air and he's does this huge type motion and basically just killed himself. He self-destruct. But it's my favorite episode because even at that moment, Vegeta was still very thick and Boo didn't beat him up a little bit too good. So he was in that air. I was Vegeta! But anyway, Vegeta was definitely one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball Z. Like I said, they definitely still have they had constant levels of threats. It was even they had Raditz. Raditz came in, they deal with Raditz, and Goku wound up dying in the process. And Piccolo took freaking Gohan, and I think that's one of my first episodes I had seen, which was pretty much in the beginning of the season. I remember being young, coming home one time and going to Chuck E. Cheese and then spending at my auntie's house and staying up past my bedtime and hearing this iconic theme music, the dun 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 dun, and being immediately amused and being drawn to the TV. And it was my first time watching Dragon Ball Z, so I really cherish those very first early episodes of Dragon Ball Z because it wasn't I started watching at the end of it. It's I randomly caught it that night and never knew what it was until I got older and talking about people about this amazing show that I saw when I was a little kid. And it was Dragon Ball Z. And I'm no, it had nothing to do with dragons. Dragon Ball Z, I'm no, it had nothing to do with dragons. As I got older, I started watching more episodes and I realized Dragon was definitely prominent within the series. And so, Dragon Ball Z is one of my favorite animes since I was a little kid. And I just love the fact that this has multiple components to Dragon Ball Z, even within Super and the whole manga that is happening with Moro and Goku just being completely overpowered. In terms of him being an OP character, Goku, this person is just completely OP. So that's why I love Dragon Ball Z. Yu Yu Hakusho is one of my favorite animes. To me, it's an OG anime. A lot of animes that I see now take inspiration from Yu Yu Hakusho, just like a lot of animes take inspiration from Dragon Ball Z. I love the fact that within Yu Yu Hakusho, the main character Yusuke, he came out there dead ass throwing bows and he came out there mixing with people, he was labeled as this being this disrespectful 14-year-old. But when he died, he got opportunity to become a spirit detective. And in it, he was solving these mysteries for the spirit world and make sure all the demons got in check and things like that. And then what I really loved about it is that it definitely provides that good bad component. And I love it when shows or movies or animes, whatever you call it, provide a good bad component. It's this component where it's like the sides you originally start with the good side, and slowly but surely turn out to the bad side. And you started slowly but surely siding with the bad side, and then like they're more realistic and more, you know, like in terms of trying to be holistic with their views, then the good side, there's just necessarily trying to maintain power. And so within Yu Yu Hakusho, I definitely love that it was like that dynamic in which that even when they found out that like Yusuke was part demon and his demon side has awakening, that they just totally like disregard him as like being like a worker for them. It's just like was like, to get you, we're gonna like put you aside, alright, we're gonna kill you, you know? And so they tried to lock him in Demon World, which was, you know, a good thing and a bad thing, because he was able to like reconnect with his dad and like became like this bitch was like a prince. He was like a demon prince, basically. And my favorite scene in that would have to be the fight between him and Yomi. Like when him and Yomi fought, it was like a fight. So I'm like, I literally, they fought, and still to this day I watch that fight scene and I get chills, because it's like all the and the swinging and going back and forth, like they really fought, and I really love that scene. And like I have to do with my DBZ, like I said, Dragon Ball Z, I mentioned that the G was very thick. And in Yu Yu Hakusho, Kurama is also a very character. As when I was a young kid, I was very like attracted to. Like he come on the scene, I was like because I just love the fact that he was like, he's a feminine character. Like he has a little rose whip, and he'll come up with the little rose whip, and then when he turns to his little transformation, he has like this little silver hair. And for me, I was like, law, I get 2 for the price of 1 right about now, you know? And so as a kid, I really loved the fact that like he was out there and he was very smart. Like he was one of the characters who was like using his brain for the most part in his fights, but at the same time using his wits. And so Yu Yu Hakusho will have to be without a doubt one of my favorite animes, and if you ever get a chance to watch Yu Yu Hakusho, definitely give it a try. This show literally caught me by surprise. When I used to break the late night shifts, I used to get off, and instead of me going to my room, I would go to my parents' room and watch TV too, because my dad worked for the same people. So he would stay there cleaning up while I would just go home, you know? So I would eventually make it home before him. And so when he gets home, I would start watching, you know, the TV, and I would want to stumble across this anime called Deadman Wonderland. And basically it's about this 11-year-old kid who gets accused of like massacring his whole 3rd grade class. And he didn't do it, but he's like being framed from doing it because him and a group of people have like this special ability where they can use their blood as like a sense of weapon. Just like in Yu Yu Hakusho, Yusuke uses spirits to form a spirit bullet, but in Deadman Wonderland, you was able to use his blood to form a blood bullet. And a lot of people were able to use their blood in order to form weapons. So they had this mutation where they called the Deadman virus, was able to use their blood as a form of weapons. And so one dude, you could literally make a blade come out his shoulder, and when he did that, it produced a sound wave on top of him having a blade. One chick, she had earrings, and she can like pretty much like take earrings off and become like tentacles of blood, and they would like attack whoever she wanted to attack. And so the people was all placed in this prison that rich people would pay to actually watch them fight each other. And so the prison was designed by like this game developer who had designed this prison to be like a game. So every battle was pretty much like a physical battle between like you fighting, but also like a game. So it's like you have this big jack-in-the-box that will come out and will shoot you with a flamethrower. Or if you were someone winning and you step to the side, you may step on the wrong square, and that square may break apart and you may fall into bigger spikes. So that was interesting anime for me, because at the end of the day, I was like very shocked. It was my first time watching it, and I definitely binge watched it. I think it was like 13 episodes. I definitely just had to binge watch it all in like one sitting once I got home. I think I didn't go to sleep like maybe like 2 o'clock the next day, but I definitely was like off the next day. But one of my favorite scenes in it is when they all had to come together for the prison break. They all had to fight each other, and even though some people wound up dying, it was definitely this very intense scene. The fact where my dad even had to stop and had to watch it because like they were getting decapitated, they were getting melted, they was doing all types of stuff. The anime itself was definitely amazing. I'm a little bit upset that it had a short run. I did hear that there are mangas on it, but the manga definitely isn't completed. They just give you a few extra volumes about them coming back to the prison and things like that. But if you're definitely interested, like this anime is called Deadman Wonderland, and it's definitely an amazing anime. That'd be one of the animes up there in terms of me rewatching and binge watching it. Place Codes has definitely been one of my top tiers anime for a long time now. If you don't know what Place Code is basically about a detective. He was like this 17-year detective. He was a world-renowned detective who basically stumbles upon this random case. And so he gets on this random case. These criminals actually drug him with this experimental drug. And so with this experimental drug, they don't know what's going to happen. So they think they're just going to kill him. But in reality, it actually reverses him back in age and put him back in his 70-year-old former self. And so now he's forced to tag along with his love interest and her dad, who's also a world-renowned detective, helping them solve cases in order to find out who drugged him and how he can get back into his body. And so as a kid, it definitely resonated with me because I love detective mystery type of stuff. I definitely love trying to solve mysteries. I would be watching people and would be like, saying if they was lying to me, or definitely was like that person was like very much into like the mysterious detective and trying to see like what was working behind every nook and cranny of anything. And one of my favorite episodes was in this one, even though no made me upset, was Moonlight Sonata episode, where there pretty much was this musician. He was forced to be a drug mule. So he was this world-renowned musician who pretty much was like playing the piano. And so he would travel the world in order to people hear him play piano. So these political figures used this as like a lever to like smuggle drugs in and out of town. And so they was like using him as like this mule to do it. And eventually dude was like, I don't want to do this no more. I love my music. I don't want my music being tainted with this drug mule, what y'all trying to accomplish. And so he had decided that he had knew too much. And so they had killed this family and locked him in the house and set the house on fire. And so instead of him trying to get out the house, he played Moonlight Sonata in the high flame. But what we don't know is that they had a son. And his son definitely wanted revenge on people who had wrongfully killed their dad. And so what the son did was, as they got older, they became a doctor and eventually came back to the town that they were originally from as a female doctor, and in that way they had got close to the people who had wrongfully killed her dad and was able to like exact her revenge. And over time it became like this curse that they would be called the Moonlight Sonata curse. And it was like on the red moon somebody would die, and one who would die would be someone who was connected to like this whole the one who would die would be one connected to like this conspiracy theory. And so what made me mad was she eventually got her revenge, but once they found out that like she was biologically born male, they just stopped with the pronoun. They just thought that the pronoun went from being she to he, and it made me upset. I was just like, no, like you better like respect folks. Like if you wrote this character in here as being this character, definitely respect this character. Because someone at home is watching this character and drawing inspiration from this character and saying, oh, that's me on the stream. And now they're seeing this character being misgendered and disrespected. And so I'm the type of person, I'm going to always stand up for my sisters out there. So yeah, the only thing made me mad with that was that little excerpt at the end where they just definitely just started misgendering her, and would make me mad with that, which is like, it wasn't really cool. But other than that, in mid-episode, if I was y'all looking to the episode Moonlight Sonata, I'll definitely be on guard with that. Because it is a trigger warning with the episode if you're someone who is gonna say part of that community, but it is such an abrupt transition with pronouns that can just say trigger someone. This anime was actually referred to me from a friend. I definitely, like I said, I hate watching new anime, so when a friend refers me to anime, I'm like, no, I'm on a little bit of a hesitant type side, but because, you know, he was a little cutie, I was like, I'm gonna like watch what you watch. I never like met like a cute little straight nerd before. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm gonna like watch what you watch real quick. And so it was my time I got reincarnated as a slime. And I'm gonna repeat that title because it's a long title. It's the time I got reincarnated as a slime. And basically, when I first saw it, I definitely was shocked. I was very confused. But it definitely killed off the main character. And I was like, how you kill off the main character in the first episode? And I realized he got reincarnated. And it's in the title as a slime. So I'm like, okay, cool. They're very, very upfront with it. So something has to be special about the slime. What's special about a slime? Normally you think about reincarnation. If you get reincarnation as like something small or very fragile, maybe you had like a messed up life, maybe you've done something wrong to somebody, So like, what was it about this slime? But the slime had power of absorption. So similar to Dragon Ball Z, when Majin Buu was absorbing people, the slime was able to like expand himself and absorb anything that he wants. And in that process, he gained the ability of whatever he absorbed. And so it was this amazing situation where he realized he can do that and started absorbing like these small like demon lizards and this small like but when he got reincarnation this mystical realm. Like it's slime. He's a slime that can talk, a talking slime. So he had to be in this mystical realm. So he started absorbing all these small creatures that eventually got him to the fact where he was so strong to absorb larger creatures. And in his process, he definitely made a dragon and wound up like absorbing this dragon that's like trapped in this cave, and wound up like contending against like most of like the demon honcho. Like he absorbed a fire demon which had already like took possession of somebody else, because that's how he got like his face and everything else. It's a very interesting anime, and very quickly this character became very overpowered. Like he became a very OP character, similar to like other characters like in Dragon Ball Z and like just any anime like One Punch Man and things like that, where these characters just become overpowered. But in the time I got reincarnated as a slime, he pretty much got overpowered in like pretty much a matter of like days. And then when he became the fact when he was battling up against like the demon honchos, he wasn't as strong as them, but he was still able to like sense their power and still able to like navigate around that. And then eventually started befriending some of the higher demon honchos, and then other demon honchos wasn't really messing with it. Like it's like you befriending this one who's like a demon king or a demon god, well, not like that, and these other ones who are like lesser than this one isn't really messing with it. So it's like he pretty much positioned himself in a way where he was able to like really, really be like very, very strong and very influential. And what I left off that was basically he was trying to help these young kids attain like spirit guides or spirit companions, because apparently these kids was too strong. They was too strong and they was overpowered themselves. And if they remained like that, they would eventually burn out and die. And so he was trying to help them find these spirit companions that can like necessarily maintain and flow the power that these kids have. The fact where they don't have to die a painful death of just being too powerful. And so that's the scene where I had left off on. That's the episode I left off on. I'm not sure what happened after. Like I said, a lot of animes just start and just end. And I don't know if that was the case, but I know that the platform that I was watching on had just stopped uploading it. And I don't know if they were just like wasn't doing it for a little minute, was like collecting episodes and uploading like one run or not. But the platform I was watching definitely stopped uploading the time I got reincarnated as a slime, which was very, very sad for me because I really, really enjoyed that show. It's one of the first shows I actually read the captions to it. I love dub versions. I hate sub-captions, I hate reading them, but I definitely was able to read them and stay engaged and like participate within like what was happening on the stream, but at the same time what was happening at the bottom of the stream. That being said, that's my list of favorite animes part 1. If you like what you see, you know, like and subscribe and stay tuned to the next video. This has been Dream, and you have been within Dream World. Y'all have a great day.